Everyone, thank you for joining the panel. Wasn't that a great panel we just listened to? That was fantastic. Thank you, Sandra Bivens, for leading that panel. That was really informative. And I'm so grateful to have been able to participate and listen in on that panel. So next up is the Procurement Opportunities in Chicago's New Development. So we have joining us and featuring three developments that we'll talk about this morning. I'm Phaedra Leslie. I am the Vice President of Workforce Development, Diversity, and Community Engagement for All Construction Group. And I am also an officer and board member of the Southeast Chicago Commission. So actually, I want to introduce our panel. So I'm actually going to start with Brownsville Lakefront and Kimberly B. Morris. So Kimberly is Director of Real Estate and Community Development. And for 10 years, Kimberly has been managing economic development opportunities and helping community organizations and the city of Chicago support small businesses, create jobs, and revitalize under-resourced and disinvested neighborhoods. At CNI, Kimberly is helping to build client and community relationships and design its development strategy and activities. She's also working to generate support for citywide opportunities and initiatives, as well as managing all aspects of CNI's construction projects. Kimberly, would you like to give us a quick overview of the Bronzeville Lakefront project?
Sure. Good morning, everybody. Super excited to be here. Thank you, SECC, for inviting me to speak on today's panel. Brownsville Lakefront, a super exciting project that I am personally very excited to be a part of. A 100-acre mixed-use, mixed-district development that is designed both with health equity, environmental sustainability, and social impact in mind. And so located right, if everybody is aware, kind of where the old Michael Reese site used to be, we are expanding on what used to be there, which was the hub of innovation, science, technology, medicine, and then again, tapping into the legacy of what Bronzeville is with arts and culture. This Bronzeville Lakefront Project is looking to expand upon that legacy in our regeneratively designed, walkable, inclusive, live, work, play community that'll be a destination far beyond the borders of Brownsville and to the greater South Side in the city of Chicago. So I'll keep it brief right there. Just super excited to be here this morning and talk more about the project.
Thank you so much, Kimberly. Next, I'm going to introduce the One Central team. So I'll start with Stuart Zadra. So Stuart Zadra is an executive vice president. I'm sorry, my camera's not on. Executive vice president and partner of Landmark Development. Stuart has been creative in the real estate development industry for 33 years with Landmark for 23 of those years. Stuart is responsible for managing the development, financing, design, construction, marketing, and operations of major mixed-use projects throughout the United States. Stuart has a broad base of experience in the development of mixed-use and hospitality products and project management for sports, entertainment, and corporate clients. Stuart was Landmark's project director for the Lambeau Field redevelopment and expansion for the Green Bay Packers. We won't hold that against you.
Don't go there.
We will not hold that against you. And other properties, including the University of Wisconsin, Madison. We will not hold that against you either. The Center for Executive, the Madison Flona Center for Executive Education and Los Angeles Stadium at Grand Crossing. Thank you and welcome, Stuart. I'd also like to introduce Palmetto Coleman, joining the One Central project. Palmetto Coleman is Chief Operating Officer of the Chicago Urban League. She's responsible for ensuring efficient operations across the organization, overseeing programs, providing strategic leadership for external affairs, and helping to execute the vision of the president and CEO. She previously served as Executive Vice President of External Affairs and Programs. Welcome to you both. And I believe one of you will be sharing an overview of the One Central project. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll be happy to do that. Come up. I can jump in here. So thank you, SECC, for inviting us. Welcome to join our panelists here. One Central is a transformative development between McCormick Place up to McFetridge. If you know the Metro Weldon Yard at 18th Street, it's across the street from Soldier Field over to Mark Twain Park. That 34 acres of land runs 3,200 feet. And the design is to create a transit-oriented development that nets together Metra, CTA, Amtrak, something we call the Shy Line, and brings all transit-related development to that location to allow access and better opportunity from the south and west sides into the city, into the loop. In time, that'll spur the development of up to 20 million square feet, create 19,000 jobs, construction jobs, and over 70,000 permanent jobs in One Central. Palmetto, do you have anything to
add? No, not at this time.
I'll keep it that
Good
brief.
job,
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Stuart and Palmetto. Next, I have the Bally's Casino team. And I'll introduce Jerry first, and then I will introduce Tracy, and Tracy will give the overview, the project overview. So Jerry Harris is Area Director of Economic Inclusion for Gilbane's Chicago Business Unit. In this position, Jerry seeks to strengthen relationships and partnerships in the Chicagoland community and meet and exceed diversity targets at a critical moment in Gilbane's history. Jerry joined Gilbane on the heels of its historic effort to generate $4 billion in awards over 5 years to certified minority and women-owned businesses, also known as MWBEs, to disadvantaged and veteran business enterprises, DBEs and VBEs, as part of a comprehensive economic inclusion strategy. Tracy Wiley is the Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion for Casino and Resorts at Bally's Corporation. Tracy joined the Bally's team as a consultant while working on projects in Virginia in 2021. Based on the company's continuing opportunity to engage diverse communities in the cities and states where they do business, her role became more integrated in the business strategy, and she assumed a permanent role in 2022. We're glad you're there. Prior to joining the team, Wiley had completed 2 consecutive gubernatorial appointments in Virginia as the Director of Development of Small Business and Supplier Diversity for the Commonwealth. Welcome to you both. And Tracy, I'll turn it over to you to give a quick project overview. Thank you.
Thank you, Phaedra. Hopefully you can hear me clearly. Great. It's been so great to be able to be in contact with all of you all, to hear the great presentations this morning. So I want to thank the Southeast Chicago Commission for allowing Bally's and our team to be able to present this morning. We're super excited about the Bally's Chicago project. As most of you all may already know, it's a $1.7 billion flagship destination casino with entertainment and hotel, which will be our permanent facility located on the 30-acre lot where the Chicago Tribune Publishing Center near Chicago Avenue and Halsted Street is where that will be located. We're looking forward to 3,400 slides, 173 tables, 10 food and beverage venues, and a 500-room hotel. And that's for the permanent facility. And so what we're currently prioritizing is the Medina Temple, which I understand has had a couple different facelifts. We hope this one will be the best so far, in River North, which will be our temporary facility with 800 gaming positions and food and beverage offerings. The temporary facility project is around $770 million in construction and slated for completion in 2023, and then the permanent facility of several years after in 2026. And we're just really excited that, you know, our goal is that the casino will reflect the best of Chicago, as it relates to arts, culture, food, and sports. So we're ready to get started. I know that Jerry may have a little more to say about that in terms of our work on the temporary facility.
Good morning. Thank you for having us. And I echo Tracy's sentiments in regards to the earlier presentations. They were excellent, and we are certainly in good company. Tracy mentioned the temporary casino, which I am showcasing behind me, which will be at the beautiful landmark in Chicago, the Medina Temple. And we are very excited, we being the Chicago Community Builders Collective, the CCBC, which is serving as the construction manager for the Bally's Casino project, the 9-member joint venture partnership. So we are very excited to be serving the community and looking forward to this exciting project.
Thank you so much. So this panel is about procurement opportunities. So let's just get into it, why don't we? So I was thinking about all of your projects, and I'm gonna start with Brownsville Lakefront because we're Southeast Chicago Commission. That's a little bit closer to home. So Kimberly, can you talk to us a little bit about the procurement opportunities? I guess maybe start with the schedule. So what can we expect? How soon? What's the timeline look like? And what would be the first opportunities that our entrepreneurs and local business partners should get ready for?
Yes, and so as you can imagine, developing 100+ acres is no small feat. It's going to take a long time. So this is a very big project, a big undertaking that we're taking. And so the first thing we have to do in order to kind of create this walkability that we're looking for is do some infrastructure work. And so this is about $60 million worth of infrastructure work that we see kicking off actually beginning of next year. So we have several bid packages, I believe up to 9, and I can kind of run through those. So that'll include demolition and earthwork, wet and dry utilities, concrete, roadway lighting, traffic signals, asphalt, and landscaping and streetscaping. And so those have several schedules, but I kind of start with the ones that we are kind of bidding out first, being the demolition and earthwork, which we're actually looking to bid out next month. So we are getting started on that fairly soon. So again, demolition, earthwork, wet and dry utilities, and the casting and retaining wall along Lake Park Avenue are things that we are starting relatively soon. Again, probably putting those bids out within the next month and looking to award those at the start of next year. And so with that, like I said, we are putting together bid packages for those to go out, working with our current construction manager to get those opportunities out and really doing some intensive engagement with a lot of the minority contractors unions in those communities to make sure that specifically minority contractors know about these opportunities that we have coming up. And so this is again kind of the infrastructure work and what we're starting off with. These are like the most immediate kind of impacts that this will have on the community and kind of things that we think the community needs to get ready for right now.
Thank you for that. Oftentimes when I'm on these calls or I'm sitting in as a contractor, I'm curious, I always hear professional services firms ask about opportunities. So I'll probably ask all of you or want to hear from each of you, or if there's still opportunities for professional service firms or anything outside of construction. I mean, the previous group of entrepreneurs were in retail, restaurant environment. Are there other opportunities besides just hard construction? Are there some other opportunities, Kimberly?
No, absolutely. So we are, a big part of this would be small business development in the entire for the entire Brownsville Lakefront site. And so we've received a ton of interest. And so what we're trying to work with alongside JLL is building out a small business incubation program, realizing that we have a lot of lead time and before we get to the actual construction of these buildings and the location of these buildings, businesses inside them. And so we want to be able to maximize that lead time. So getting the interest from small business owners that want to locate on this site is something that we're looking to do now. And also, like I said, building out what that small business incubation program looks like. So working with service partners that would help us have support for like lease negotiation, small business development, small business expansion, microfinancing are things that we are currently reaching out to service partners for support for right now. And so we think that this will have a great impact not only on the current small business communities, but in fostering new businesses to grow and develop in the Brownsville community.
Yeah, that sounds wonderful and really exciting, particularly if there's still some folks who were on the last panel, maybe they can get started having those conversations with you. I know some in the keynote, they talked about gap financing, looking for additional sources of funds. So the microfinancing would be aligned with anyone who's listening who was paying attention to the keynote as well as the second panel. The Bally's team and the One Central team, do you want to talk, either of you can chime in on, what's your schedule looking like for procurement? Where are you starting with procurement, and what are the first few opportunities that'll be coming out? So let's start with Bally's.
Thank you. For the construction procurement, we have had many community outreach sessions. And we've also have information that's posted on the Bally's website for the subcontracting community to know what those opportunities look like. We've had 3 bid package releases for the construction of the temporary casino. The first package was the cut, cap, and make safe and demolition for the interiors. And then we have bid package 2, that was also the MEP and fire protection and doors, frames, and hardware. So those packages are currently being bid out and will look to be awarded for the start of the project. And then bid package release 3 was all of the interior work. And the interior packages will be due back on October 10th. And the electrical scope, which was also earlier, has been pushed to October 21st, which is when that will be due.
Great. Thank you so much for that. Tracy, did you have anything to add? Maybe professional service side or any special programs, targeted programs?
Yeah, Zadra, I'm glad you asked. And I know that our focus primarily has been on design and construction. We want to get the facility ready so that we can open as quickly as possible. Just in general, casinos are like cities. So when we think about professional services, we think that, there are tons of things that we will probably need on the operational side and to get, the business up and running. We have not put those lists together and out yet. Because we've been prioritizing the construction, but I would expect that, as food is going to be our number one space where we're going to play in terms of contracting opportunities, but there are a number of things in professional services around what small businesses will do for the casino that I think that if we start to build these relationships now, we will be able to invite those businesses in. I will say, in terms of special programs, we do have a program that we have in some of our other properties called Community Rewards, and it's a chance for local businesses to participate in our virtual mall or retail outlet. But it also
that's great.
Yeah, we're excited about it. It does operate in one of our other properties, but it incentivizes the players and the guests to support local businesses based on the rewards that they receive at a casino, that they then get to use those in the local markets at the local businesses. So we're really going to be pushing that pretty soon once we get design and construction up and running and get some people in working and get that going for small businesses.
I have a follow-up question because I love the Medina Temple. And I'm glad that it is being repurposed, even if for temporary use at this point. Will the team be retaining Medina Temple long-term for other purposes as an extension of the casino once the new casino campus is built?
Now, I don't know if Jerry wants to respond to that, or if I don't want to. Let me say this, Zadra. I think that any investment that we put in any building in Chicago, we should figure out new and innovative ways to be able to preserve that. So I would vote for yes, but I'm not on that team that guarantee that community. But I would imagine with that kind of investment that we're making and the people that will, support it, that we will want to make sure that there's some continuous opportunity for the community to enjoy it.
Yeah, thank you so much for that answer. How about the One Central team? Do you all want to talk a little bit about your procurement timeline, your schedule? I think that yours might be the largest planned development in the conversation today.
Phaedra, thank you. Yeah, I'll speak to timing, and then Palmetto, maybe you can talk about our Equity Works program. We are, the one that's going to be the latest to get a shovel in the ground. It's been a 4 or 5 year effort so far to date. We still have a number of approvals from the state, the city. We're continuing to work through our agreements with Metra and CTA. So at the very earliest, we might be turning over leaves, as some of us like to say, maybe in fall of next year, late in 2023. So we're some time away. A lot of design yet to do. We have a lead design team of WSP and Gensler. I would say relative to professional services, if there are firms out there that have interest, we are looking for partnering interest. Feel free to contact myself or Palmetto, and we'll be sure to get you in touch with the prime leads for design, but not only design, but other professional services as well, whether it be marketing, legal, any
That's
of those.
great.
Talk to people. Happy to do that. Let me turn it over to Palmetto. She can speak to our Equity Works program.
Thank you.
Sure. So for the people who might be wondering, why is the Chicago Urban League involved with the One Central project? I will say that when Bob, Don, and Stuart came and approached us over a year ago now, I think it's been, about the project, what we were really interested in was the way that they viewed equity. And what grew out of that was something that we're calling Equity Works, where we're making sure that there is appropriate minority participation, not just on that project, right? But that it's long-term and benefits the community over time. Far too often, big development projects come along and there are promises made about women and minority participation, and you get to the end of the project and sometimes those goals aren't really met. Or our businesses are viewed as not being able to participate in those projects because they don't have proper insurance, they don't have bonding. And so we are working on Equity Works as a way to address all of those things. And so really making sure that we are able to have minorities participate, women participate, because we would actually have, as part of this sort of framework, or what we call an economic development plan, a working capital fund that would support women and minority business participation so that they can be on the projects, to make sure that we are covering their, and this is all privately funded, making sure that we're covering their insurance, their funding, to make sure that there can be real participation from a procurement standpoint. And Stuart already mentioned, yes, it'll go beyond construction. We're thinking about it long-term beyond the project. So even though, we'll be the longest run in terms of getting shovels in the ground, we do expect the impact for minority firms to go well beyond the project.
Great, thank you. And we look forward to hearing more about all of the projects and seeing your plans once you've all formulated your plans for that. I'm glad you mentioned that it's all privately funded, because I was literally just thinking, you're like Amazon or Google, because you read my mind. And I was gonna ask all of you, you know how you're scrolling and then something in your mind all of a sudden shows up and is ready for you to purchase. So when I'm thinking about vacations, all of a sudden I have vacations on my news feed. I need to start thinking about like big sums of money and winning the lottery or something like that. So that shows up on my news feed or in my mailbox bank account. Anyway, so of the other two remaining, the other two projects that we're talking about today or featuring today, Bronzeville Lakefront and Bally's Casino. Can you talk about what the public funding is and how that impacts your approach to procurement opportunities for those projects?
So Zadra, I'll jump in here. You know, our project is privately funded, fully privately funded.
Fully privately funded, okay.
Yeah, and so of course you all know that there was a $40 million upfront to the city that was paid to help and support public safety and other needs for, you know, building a better community for the city of Chicago. You know, we hope that there's an economic impact of, you know, close to about 21 million based on our player database that will really attract visitors to the city. The project, you know, is projected to really attract over 4.5 million new visitors to the city, and it has about a $21 billion economic impact value. So we're thinking that this is transformative, not just from a standpoint of entertainment and culture, but to be able to reactivate some of the communities that are surrounding it. And I believe that based on what I heard this morning in terms of concentration and collaboration, you know, our goal is to be able to transform some of those communities through some of the strategies that we have around the target that we've negotiated with the city.
And by target, do you mean the targeted community area? So as I was preparing all my questions, for me, you know, we all define local differently. For me, local could mean my neighborhood, it could mean my ward, it could mean the city of Chicago or the southeast side of Chicago. So when you say target, what does that really mean? Or are you talking about targeted something else in something else?
So it's a little bit of both. I believe that, you know, we're looking at certain neighborhoods in proximity to our project. So we want to be able to impact those communities, and there are set goals around those so that we hire and prioritize city residents. So that's one area of the work. What we talked a lot about is job creation. And so we have goals around hiring for 60% for minority, 45% for women, 5% for veterans, and 5% for people with disabilities. So we want to take a holistic approach to impacting Black and Brown communities, but also impacting those other areas that are closely at the heart of the city. And people with disabilities and veterans are certainly a part of that. The minority investment component, to make sure that there are minorities that get a chance to reap the benefits of the revenue that will come into the city. And so right now, you know, there's 25% women and minority investment opportunity, which I think at last count was somewhere close to 150 million for investors representing Black, Latino, and Asian businesses, you know. And then I think the last part of that, when I say targeted, is we're partnering with many of the community organizations for community engagement, a lot of nonprofits. I have 13 years in nonprofit community, and I know that they need support in varying different ways, especially now based on social impact. So I think target could be described in a lot of different ways in the way that our strategy is built for the project, and we're just looking for those collaborations.
Thank you, Tracy.
And Phaedra, if I may add, Tracy's perspective was from the operational side of the Bally's, and from the construction side, the local is Bally's has committed to the city to have 50% City of Chicago residency and 15.5% CETA residency, which are specific areas within the city as well. So that is one aspect of how local is defined. And in addition, the Bally's and CCBC is committed to 36% MB participation and 10% WB participation. And that would be with certified businesses that are certified with either the City of Chicago or Cook County. So
Yes.
that is also to be added in perspective for local.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. And thank you, Tracy, also for touching on workforce. I'm a workforce practitioner as well. So that's always, this is procurement, but you got to have people as well. So that's always at the top of my mind. What about the, did I miss anyone? Did anyone else have any other comments on the panel, Kimberly?
Yeah. Going back to your, I guess, original question about how this is financed and funded. This is what I guess we're really proud of is that this is a joint partnership with the City of Chicago and the GRIT team, being that a large portion of the public infrastructure that'll be going in will be financed through the City of Chicago. And so we know how important that piece is, and how that really sets the tone for the site, and how we really want to get that right. And so we were able to leverage City of Chicago TIF funding, some bond obligations to be able to pay for that. And so we're really grateful for the city for their partnership, for their leadership, and being able to utilize the TIP dollars for what they're supposed to be utilized for. An appropriate utilization of TIP dollars is supporting the infrastructure and building out the infrastructure for this project. So we're super excited about that. And so with the utilization of those dollars, there are contractual obligations that we have to follow, but we're looking to go way past those. So the basic kind of minority participation is usually 26 and 6. What we've agreed to is 30 MBE and 10% WBE for construction contracting. But we aspire to have a total of 65% of minority-led participation within the total project. And so that includes, again, kind of those contracting opportunities. That includes internships and apprenticeships that we're looking to build into this work as well. And so being that we are developing in a minority community, we want to make sure that it is very reflective of the people who live in that space. And so that is our goal. That's what we're aspiring to.
Thank you for that. So I'm just going to pivot a little bit outside of procurement and ask if you have any programs that will support businesses that maybe it's an indirect impact. So have you contemplated that? Is that part of your plan, your approach or strategy? That's one question that I have. But then as you were, I can't remember who mentioned it, but someone mentioned including, they had a diverse, a goal for persons with disabilities. Are you engaged at all with entrepreneurs that have self-identified as disabled persons? I think so. In my previous position in another organization, I was on a committee around entrepreneurship for persons with disabilities, because the unemployment numbers are just absolutely disgusting, quite frankly, and how they're able to often move into better incomes is by creating businesses. And so I'm curious, and if you haven't contemplated that, I encourage you. The city has an entire department devoted to working with entrepreneurs. It's part of their small business, but they're partnered with the city's diverse persons with the Office of Persons with Disabilities. So I throw that out there. I know I said 2 questions and I went longer on the second one, but I invite you to keep up with me and jump into the conversation.
Phaedra, I'd love to jump in on at least the second question, because I don't remember the first one.
Okay.
To say, so our role as the Chicago Urban League, for people who don't know, we do a lot of this work already of supporting entrepreneurs as well as helping to build skills for job seekers. And so we have a number of trainings that we offer to, get people not just the soft skills, but those hardcore skills that they'll need to be a part of a construction job or any other, kind of job. As part of the Equity Works program that's essential to One Central, we will have what we call like career pathways that will train people on job skills that will be needed to be a part of not just this project, but other projects beyond that. And specifically for entrepreneurs or people who might want to be an entrepreneur, we're having something that's called the Entrepreneurship Institute, where we will actually work with businesses from startup to kind of help them get going in whatever area it is that they're looking for. We already do this as the Chicago Urban League, but we will actually add this also to this project. So whether they are, I've got a great idea, to I've got a mature business, but I'm trying to figure out how to really take it to that next level, that is a part of this project. And so that's whether they're directly involved on One Central or not. I heard a word earlier that Tracy used that we've been using when we talk about One Central and Equity Works, which was transformative, and particularly transformative for communities. And so I'm excited to hear that other projects are looking at their work in that same way. We think that it's time out for development projects that come, there are lots of jobs that, that we see in the city go to various people. We see downtown being transformed, but many of our communities look the same. And so we really want to make sure that that does not happen. And so that's a big focus that One Central brought, that we embrace the Chicago Urban League, and why we wanted to be a part of this and a part of Equity Works, because we want to make sure that, whatever. So even, I know you mentioned specifically people with disabilities. So that's the Chicago Urban League. We are open to, anyone. So we have programs for veterans. We do have some work that we do with people with disabilities. We don't have a dedicated program, but that's probably something that we should be thinking about as we think about how to transform communities. So
yeah. Thank you for that. And Tracy, I think you were going to jump in.
Oh yeah, I'm super excited about this one because, more personally, as someone who lives with a silent disability, I'm always a champion for others who, who are walking around every day and trying to just live basic, have a basic foundational life in order to provide for their families and to do the job that they love to do. And so Bally's has taken the lead during the bidding process, and even more recently to meet with Access Living, and more recently Disability Lead. And they were amazing to talk to about what resources they had and where their professional services businesses were mapped out throughout the city, and what people would be available to us. So I think first and foremost, our energy is very drummed up around that issue. But also to what Palmetto said, we're excited about our partnership with the Urban League and Black Leadership Council as well, because we know that they have the key programs like Equity Works that was mentioned before, and the Academy, the Institute, that will help us with really being able to get businesses ready. A lot of the programs that I have worked with alongside colleges and universities in my career has shown me that those businesses that are able and capable of going through programs that help them learn how to work on their business and not just in their business, are those businesses much more sustainable. And so, along with those organizations that I mentioned, we also are working with city colleges to help create those apprenticeships that Kim mentioned, and also to create a curriculum specifically for hospitality and the gaming industry. So I see a lot of collaboration. I think that these are three great projects, and I don't see why there might be opportunities for even us to collaborate on some of these for the communities we all want to serve.
Yeah, I think that's phenomenal. And that was percolating in the back of my head. See, Amazon and Google is like reading my mind and giving all of you this information. So I work for a Hispanic-owned general contracting and construction management company, and we specialize in masonry. But one of the things that's happened to us as we've grown is we've grown out of some of these small business programs. So what are you planning on? I know that some of you are looking at the certified businesses, but there are some businesses that are doing really well, and whose owners are doing really well. But they are kind of kicked out, if you will, graduated out of these targeted programs. Are you contemplating, and particularly, I guess, for the privately funded projects, you really can be creative and think about things a little bit differently. Are you considering perhaps some organizations or putting together packages that would help meet medium-sized businesses or help grow medium-sized businesses? Because in no way is our company as large as a Gilbane, but yet we still compete with a Gilbane for the same work. But we don't want to take work away from a small business. We actually would like to help grow small businesses as well. But we're not big enough where we can take on the kind of responsibility that perhaps we can, but not as big as Gilbane can. Have any of you contemplated that in your procurement? And if so, it'd be great to hear about that. Selfishly, but then also for the audience.
So I'd like to.
Oh, I was
Go
just
ahead,
gonna say, I don't know. It looks like Stuart was going to say something.
No,
but
go ahead. You
I
start.
certainly want to talk about next one. All right. So yes, we have contemplated that. At Chicago Urban League specifically, we have a program that some of you may have heard of because it ran for about 4 years back in 2011. We relaunched it last year. It's called Next One, and it's for just that kind of business, Phaedra, that you're talking about. That business, they've been in business for 5 years. They have, substantial revenue, but they're really just trying to get to the next level. And like you're saying, people don't necessarily look at them as a small business anymore, but we have a program that it runs for 9 months. They operate in a cohort, and we are helping them with one-on-one coaching, connecting them to resources, capital, procurement opportunities, especially. And we anticipate this being part of One Central as well. So that's certainly something that we will be doing, because we know that, to your point, they may not be that, we need our first break, but they're not necessarily getting the business that larger firms would get. And so we are dedicated to looking at supporting those businesses as well.
Great, thank you.
And I was just going to say, I'll add to that, we're looking for the capacity of everybody in the minority and women-owned businesses to be able to assist in developing One Central. And Chicago is unique in terms of you cap out and you're out of the program. And I've been involved with many other communities where you have to build the collaboration for the mentorship to bring people into these jobs. And so you leverage those minority groups that have seen success already and have them help build capacity with those that are just starting out, that are entrepreneurs, some of the people we heard in the earlier panel discussions.
Thank you.
And Phaedra, I think that is an excellent segue into how Bally's approached its relationship with the city of Chicago and identifying its construction management team. So I mentioned the CCBC. The CCBC is, as I said, a joint venture partnership of 9 firms here in Chicago. 8 of them are diverse. Millhouse, Brown and Moment, Discoto, Livewire, Rightway Huggins, Powers and Sons, SQN, Ujamaa, and then Gilbane is the 9th partner. And the unique partnership also helps then to identify all of the local businesses that they've worked with to bring into this project. That group has over 250 years of business and service here in the city of Chicago, and that's outside of Gilbane. And therefore, what the group, the CCBC, is looking to do is ask all of the local businesses to begin to have partnerships, build partnerships now with Prime so that they can strengthen their capacity to work on this project. As Tracy said, we already have alignment with the Urban League and many other organizations, Hire 360, Revolution Workshop, and HACIA and Chicago Women in Trades, and many other organizations that will support the workforce aspect to understand how we can create jobs for the local businesses and for the residents here in the city of Chicago.
Thank you for that. So I know we have about 5 minutes or so before we have to wrap, but I do have a couple of other questions. So all of you you've got these massive, you know, in terms of perspective, massive undertakings. Bally starting with the renovation and the use of the Medina Temple, but then a huge campus, casino campus, and then the lakefront property and the One Central property, which also includes, you know, a collaboration or a partnership with public transit. So I'm really curious about the specialties in your work, in your planned development. So a casino has particular types of technologies and specialties that are employed. The leveraging, you know, the public transit system, there will be some specialties necessary there. Are there things or specialties, new technologies, or any new methods that are going into your properties that we should be aware of? Maybe there's a small business, you know, we think about the very easy things to, you know, immediately conceive about projects, but then are there unique things? Is there cybersecurity? Is there, you know, drone technology need? Like, are there special and unique things that some entrepreneurs listening or who will view this later might not be thinking about, but could potentially be thinking about in terms of procurement? And then how do they find that information? How do we know what's procurement? So I guess, Jerry, you're on now. So I'll start with Bally. It looks like my internet is unstable. Do you guys hear me okay?
You did break up a little bit.
Okay.
So two things I'd like to mention, that from the construction aspect, the CCBC has a special opportunity for the subcontracting community. And I say it's special, but it's unique in that the pre-qualification process is using Compass. And that's special because it is a response to a one-stop shop in terms of pre-qualification. Many contractors often say that that is a hindrance to them, but this system will allow them to pre-qualify with the Bally's project, and it is of no cost. The CCBC negotiated that so that that can help the small business community on this project. And then there's also the registration portal that we have open that I can put in the chat for you to share out, that will allow people to register with us and register their interest. And as we go from now the temp casino to the permanent casino, we will have visibility to all of the businesses, professional services side and construction, that are interested in being involved on the project. So those are just two things I'd like to mention.
Yeah, and I say we have something very similar to what Jerry just mentioned. In a workforce and career interest portal. It's actually live now. So if people are interested, they can go to Bronzeville Lakefront Careers.com. And so it is a career portal so that residents, contractors are able to upload resume, vendors, and then when job opportunities become available, you know, the portal actually matches your resume with a job opportunity. And also flip side, if you apply for a job opportunity, but are not yet kind of qualified, you may miss some of the marks. The portal actually shows you what your area of improvement should be, and then refers you to workforce partners. So whether that be, you need to get extra certifications, other additional educational programmings, it kind of matches you up to make sure that, you know, you get the additional training, additional certification that you need to be able to be competitive for these job opportunities. So we see that as just a great way to really match and prepare a workforce for the skills that are needed. Because one thing that I find in our communities is that we have a ton of opportunities, but then a lot of times we're not ready for those opportunities. And so being that we have this lead time, we want to make sure that we're preparing our workforce for the opportunities that are coming.
Thank you. And then how do we find out about the procurement opportunities? Where do contractors and small businesses or large businesses register to learn more about the Brownsville
Yes.
Lakefront opportunity?
Yes, and that's again at bronzevillelakefront.com. You can learn
Brownsville
more
Lakefront.
and then register on our website to get more about the career opportunities there and contracting opportunities.
Thank you.
Phaedra, are the notes that I put in the chat, the links that I put in the chat, are they visible to the audience?
No, someone will move them to the audience so they will see it.
Thank you so much.
You're
I wanted to make
welcome.
sure.
Thank you for asking. How about the One Central team?
Yeah, let me thank you, Phaedra. And let me speak briefly too on technology. It'll be a very integrated facility with robust Wi-Fi, cybersecurity, as you mentioned. One of our partners is Johnson Controls. They're a leading technology implementer, and they actually today have programs geared towards minority and women who need training, who are looking to get into the industry. And so they're a great resource in terms of advancing the industry and eventually working within not necessarily just Johnson Controls, but in other technology firms, in the Chicago area and elsewhere. So you'll find that in time when you learn more about One Central, there'll be a lot of opportunities on technology. Palmetto, do you have anything to add?
The only thing that I would say is that we are already doing that at the Chicago Urban League, so it will be a easy transition. We are currently training people to operate drones. They come out with their drone pilot license. We are doing everything from cybersecurity, which you mentioned, to more sophisticated technology that we're training folks on. So we are, as Kimberly mentioned, in the very similar way, we're training people for jobs of the future to make sure that our communities are ready when these opportunities come.
Awesome. That means small and large businesses can come to the Chicago Urban League and get the talent they need.
Absolutely. And
That's awesome.
individual job seekers who might not yet have the skills, but we can help get them there.
Awesome. Thank you.
Just really quickly here, Jerry did a great job of sharing how people can find us and where they look for the opportunities. But I wanted to mention that Bally's is also has a great interactive division where there's new and amazing technologies happening. So if small businesses have ideas around apps or how to expand the customer experience in our casinos, then we want our small businesses that come to us to be innovative and to offer ideas up that we can consider collaboration on.
That's fantastic.
Our interactive side is very robust. So, having small businesses participate in that would be great as well.
That's awesome. I really love hearing that. Thank you so much. Well, it looks like we have gone over a few minutes, so I just want to offer my thanks to you because there are a couple minutes to do a transition. Just any quick final, quick 20-second remarks. I want to thank you so much, but any quick 20 seconds, if you have 20 seconds to share what you didn't get a chance to share, here's your opportunity to do so. If I didn't get around to asking a question, is there something that you may want to share with the audience before we hop off?
I'd like to ask the subcontracting community to get ready and show up and bid and participate in this project. Don't shy away. Please be ready and come participate.
Thank you.
And I would just echo that if businesses are preparing to work with the Bally team in Chicago, to look at that as an entry point, because we also have a casino in Rock Island. We have 10, we're across 10 states with 15 casinos. So once they start the relationship here, it could expand across our footprint. So come ready.
That's awesome. I'll go with the One Central, and I'll say close to home, Brownsville Lakefront for our final. Anything from the One Central team, your last 20 seconds?
Come at it, go ahead.
I was just going to say that the whole point of Equity Works really is to remove barriers to entry. So if there is not something that you haven't heard us say that we're going to be doing, but you see it as a barrier for you, please reach out to us and let's talk about how we can make sure more people can participate.
Yeah, it's all about building capacity. Thanks.
Thank you. And Kimberly. any final
Yeah, there was
comments?
a lot said, but I think just kind of the main point of this is that this is going to be an economic driver for the whole South Side. And so whether that be through the process we're in now, through the contracting, all the way to the end product, to the affordable housing that we're going to see on the site, the small businesses that we're looking to incubate on the site, all of it is an economic driver. And so knowing that these things are coming, I kind of piggyback off of what Jerry said. It's about us getting ready for these opportunities, just knowing that they're coming. So connecting with these service providers, connecting with the Urban League to get the additional training that you don't have right now. So if you are a small business and you feel like you're not prepared to bid on these major contracts, maybe you reach out to a larger firm and establish a mentor-mentee relationship. That's something that we encourage as well on a lot of our contracts. And so it's all about getting prepared for these opportunities. And so I'm excited to do more engagement, to reach out to the small business community, to reach out to those small contractors, to again, remove those barriers and prepare us for these opportunities that are coming to our community.
Thank you, Kimberly, Stuart, Palmetto, Tracy, and Jerry. Thank you so much for joining the SECC and our community of audience today. We really appreciate you joining us for the symposium panel.